Time has not been on my side as of late, and it doesn't help that May has been the busiest month of the wrestling calendar thus far. Tournament season rages on as the Champion Carnival concluded, while the Best of the Super Juniors began, and the King and Queen of the Ring tournament delivered some of WWE's most consistent in-ring output in a long time. There's a lot to get into, and it's taken me long enough to get this video out, so let's not wait any longer. As always, a reminder that I haven't seen every single match to have taken place, and the ones I do choose to talk about are all based on my personal enjoyment and nothing else. A slight spoiler warning, as I will be talking about match finishes here too. After watching 92 matches spanning 13 promotions, here are a few of my favorites from the second week of May. The run of good matches from Monday Night Raw continued with a pair that's basically Teflon at this point. Sheamus and Gunther renewed their rivalry in the first round of the King of the Ring tournament, which made the competition feel a whole lot more important compared to years past. Predictably, this is an ass kicker through and through, and once again, there's no point in me reciting every bomb. Gunther does add some variation to this by targeting his thunderous chops to Sheamus's back and shoulders, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a shoulder injury that took Sheamus out of action in the first place. It's a nice touch that is immediately overshadowed by the visceral impression of Gunther's hand on said shoulder, which is a gnarly visual to say the least. It's one of the many sensory cues that lend to this style, along with the broken blood vessels in either man's chest, the clouds of mist that pop up and even hit the camera at one point, and of course, the soundtrack of each of these shots echoing throughout the arena. I would have been fine with the entire match being this way, though I do like the direction they took with the final third. Back when Gunther made his entrance, he shared some words briefly with Ludwig Kaiser, and by this point, he's physically involved in the match by tying up Sheamus's legs in the ropes and hitting a shotgun dropkick to the trapped knee. Thinking back to the previous week, a similar sequence flipped the match against Xavier Woods on its head, and now Imperium looks to do the same. Their small consultants before the match ended up being a nice bit of foreshadowing. Going after the knee may not have been the strategy from the get-go, though it was an effective contingency plan. When Kaiser is ejected from ringside, Gunther isn't fazed. He acknowledges him with a prideful smirk before going to work on the compromised knee. Gunther is once again great when working over the limb. He makes sure to take measures such as ripping the knee pad right off and making sure to hook the right leg accordingly if a powerbomb isn't enough to quickly apply a single leg crab. Sheamus is not an easy out and fights through the pain in a thrilling finishing stretch. It comes to a point where he has to take a risk to swing the match in his favor, and it goes the other way for him. He goes back to the well with his right leg, though slowly but surely it starts to give out. It's aggravated to the point where, even after executing big moves, he cannot pull off an adequate cover for a pinfall attempt. The ring general takes advantage of this with a quick burst of energy, cinching in the single leg one more time, forcing Sheamus to tap out. Another stellar entry in this feud, not only bringing all the violence you want, but something a little bit more focused down the stretch, highlighted by Sheamus' selling especially. Picking up immediately after Steel Cage Survival, Dragongate ran Cork and Hall in the 9th with a heavy emphasis on the new chapter of Natural Vibes. As KZ handed over the reins to Strong Machine J, he wanted to acknowledge Jacky's departure from the group with a graduation match. No longer funky, Jacky Kamei obliged to face off with his former leader for an appropriate send-off. Jacky rushes KZ from the bell and appears to be making light work of his mentor. There's all kinds of high-speed finesse on display until KZ is backed into a corner and simply isn't having it. He shrugs off Jacky and starts firing back with some hard strikes. From here, you can see the through line of the match starting to play out. KZ is not only outstriking Jacky, but knows how to work around his arsenal. He brought him into the group after all, and should have that kind of foresight. You can see him gesturing to the crowd in this instance. Jacky isn't going to put one over on him. The run-in is frantic as Jacky does all he can to get an advantage, though KZ's experience is ultimately the difference. Deep into the match, KZ uses the spider twist to force Jacky to submit. It's a move he hasn't used in quite some time, so Jacky wouldn't have anticipated it. I really like the match itself, as well as the implications from a character point of view. This type of match offers the appropriate closure for both men, and having Jacky lose here separates it from the cliche of a student overcoming their mentor at this stage. It's much more in line with their own interpersonal story. KZ said at Dead or Alive that Jacky should grow with his new stable, and here you can see what he meant by that. Despite his unbelievable potential, he still has a lot to learn. From the in-ring standpoint, it's a fast-paced match that greatly balances those high-speed sequences with hard-hitting offense. It allows the strengths of both wrestlers to shine, especially when Jacky is fighting from underneath. I think they nailed the feeling of elevating Jacky while still keeping him in this underdog position. If you're checking out this match, I also recommend the Triangle Gate main event, where Strong Machine J was able to claim his very first championship on his first day as leader of Vibes. Sendai Girls made their live debut on the Wrestle Universe streaming service with another one of their marquee tag matches featuring the Hashimoto-Momo pairing. This time they act as the veteran presence on their respective teams, anchoring the match through the dynamic that makes these two so great to begin with. Chihiro Hashimoto has no issue asserting her dominance early, as a jump start from Bobubobu Momo Banana is shut down with relative ease. Both her explosiveness and proficiency on the ground gets her in control early, allowing Minami to come in and pick up the scraps. From here, it's up to Oka to fight back to get Momono involved, and when she's able to, the match picks up and never lets off the gas. Momono and Oka pinball around the ring to provide their own flavor of combination offense, and with the momentum in their favor, the inevitable exchange between Mio and Big Hosh looms. When she does finally get the tag, Momono and Oka once again fail to overpower her, as Hosh is just a force of nature that few are able to deal with. The aforementioned Hashimoto-Momono sequence is great, and this gives Mio a spot to fight from underneath. It helps when she has a tendency to bump like a maniac, and does no differently here. It culminates in a frantic sprint to the finish. Everyone gets their chance to shine, capped off by Momono hitting a code red on Minami for the victory. This win would project Bobubobu Momo Banana into the tag team title picture, which I look forward to seeing in the future. Additionally, having the chance to see Hashimoto wrestle more often reiterates why she is one of the very best on the planet. This match is simply a ton of fun. While Momono and Hosh bring so much to the table, I think everyone played their part here. Things are also moving incredibly fast, and I think because of that, no one overstays their welcome. While this might not pertain to the actual match, this was the first thing I rewatched after having to drop wrestling for a while, and personally, this type of sprint was just the thing I needed to pull me back in. As I alluded to in the last video, Higuchi and Ishikawa were on a collision course in the King of DDT tournament, and while it certainly delivered in my opinion, it was another great Higuchi performance that elevated this from just another hard-nosed brawl. Things start rather precariously as the two are sizing each other up, and there's even a clean break. After going into Greco-Roman, Ishikawa throws the first of many shoot headbutts, leaving Higuchi shell-shocked for a bit. The way he registered this first shot really puts over Ishikawa as a massive threat, as Higuchi's skull is notorious for being his greatest weapon. I should note that if you're particularly squeamish of unprotected headbutts, this match might not be for you. Ishikawa looks to take firm control on the outside, throwing Higuchi headfirst into the ring post, giving us a glimpse of the match that was expected from the start. Higuchi attempts to fire back, though Ishikawa is persistent, hitting a driver onto the floor to assert his dominance. I appreciate that they give Higuchi this mountain to climb, as in previous videos I've waxed poetic about his ability to take a beating just as well as dishing them out. I thought his selling here was great, as he's looking for any opening to start fighting back. At times he's dazed and spaghetti-legged, trying to navigate through Ishikawa's offensive. It takes a huge dropkick out of desperation to get back to even footing, where the more over-the-top violence ensues, and to little surprise, it kicks ass. One particular spot that sticks out to me is Higuchi getting cut off at the top turnbuckle, only for Ishikawa to counter with a headbutt into a double underhook superplex. The rest of this match unfolds as Higuchi's perseverance is on display. It's a matter of outlasting Ishikawa, and more openings for his signature offense present themselves. Through all of the bombs, it's actually a running shoulder tackle that seals the win for Higuchi, and I thought that was really cool. A reminder that sometimes The best way to topple whatever is in your path is by running at it at full speed. An insane match that will get your adrenaline flowing through its uncompromising violence. Everything in this match appropriately feels massive, and the exhaustion between the two is testament to that. Higuchi's performance aids Ishikawa's campaign as an invading monster, and brings that sympathetic element through the punishment withstood. And before I go, here are some honorable mentions. In interest of time, I'm just going to fire these off again. Daisuke Sekimoto and Tomohiro Ishii vs Jeff Cobb and Masaki Tamiya from the All Together show on May 6th. Himawari and Wakana Urehara vs Daisy Monkey from Tokyo Joshi Pro, May 6th. Seigo Tachibana vs Dan Tamura from All Japan, also on May 6th. Kushida vs Hiromu Takahashi from New Japan, May 11th. El Barbaro Cavernario vs Mistico from MLW, May 11th. And last but not least, Z-Brats vs Big Hug from Dragongate, May 12th. And that is it from me. If you got this far into the video, thank you so much for your time and for hearing what I have to say. Basically, the circumstances I alluded to at the end of April reared their head, which led to an unexpected hiatus from YouTube and a lot of pro wrestling in general. In regards to the channel going forward, my current plan is to just get through May and figure out an efficient way to tackle June, as I'm damn near 2 months behind at this point. I have so much to catch up on, but it appears I'll have some time on my hands to do so, and I'm very excited to start. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for your support and for your patience, and if you're new, you can do all the obligatory YouTube stuff by liking and subscribing. Additionally, you can find me on Twitter at OuterStevon as I begin the process of watching a couple hundred odd matches over the next few weeks. Thanks again for watching, and I look forward to getting this series back on track.